Today we're going to talk about how you can make over $100,000 net with short-term rentals. I got one of my guys, Kevin, that I've known since
2017.
Yeah, since 2017, and he's going to share with you guys how he's making over $100,000 net with just short-term rentals. Let's talk about it. Well, look, brother, tell everybody about yourself and how you got started. Yeah.
So in 2014, I was buying and selling dirt bikes and four-wheelers and cars, and I sat there one night with my future wife at that time and said, you know, if I could meet somebody that had a lot of money, I could cut a deal and make them lots of money with houses. And we ended up buying our first triplex in Greensboro for 15 grand and had a month to fix up our one little unit, and I didn't know much about fixing up and how to do things, but I learned flooring and learned sheetrock and plumbing and how to set cabinets and countertops, all from that unit. And then I missed a meeting at my work and got fired from work, and I took that as a sign from the Lord that it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. So, and at the actual job, I had met a gentleman who said he flipped houses, and I was like, why are you here at 11 a.m. eating breakfast if you flip houses? I didn't realize he was just the money guy.
Yeah.
So I had gotten his number, and a year and a half later, kind of like what you said with Mike, I called him up and said, hey, we've finally gotten our triplex, and I've gotten the middle unit ready. We've been living in the first unit, and I'd love to learn how to flip. And had a meeting with him, and after 3.5 hours, I thought I was just learning how to flip from him.
Right.
But he actually said at the end of the meeting that he'd love to fund my flips and rehabs. So that's how we got started.
Nice.
And it took about a year for me to find my first property. And since then, we've had 45 flips and kind of started to pivot into Airbnb in the 2018
okay, so there's a lot to unpack here.
There is.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
And that was just the intro.
Yeah, and I love it, because that was, okay, so first, let's start with the triplex?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with the triplex. You bought a triplex in Greensboro for 15 grand.
So we started out trying to do a 203K loan, which is a renovation loan through the government. They had assigned us a consultant, which we had to pay. They came down from Virginia and gave us a full type rehab budget, what it would cost. He had contractors come in, and it was going to cost $150,000 to $200,000 for the rehab. So my wife and I talked about it, and we're just like, we don't want to be this much in debt for our first endeavor. We just didn't know. We had no clue. So after 9 months of working with the sellers, we actually offered them owner financing.
Okay.
And we paid $1,500 down and $500 a month for 29 months. And that was the deal we made.
Get out of here. Okay, hold on. So $1,500 down.
Yep.
$500 a month for how long?
29 months.
For 29 months on the triplex?
On the triplex, yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I mean, it was beat up.
But that's good though. I think,
it was great.
Okay, that was your first deal and it was beat up. Like, clearly it needed $150,000 worth of work. So it was
I only spent about 45, but I didn't get the third units finished.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
2 of those done.
Well, what made you guys say that, because I assume you're working like a normal job at this point.
No, I was playing music at that point. It was my only other job. And that wasn't, I mean, it paid for food, but that's about it. It wasn't going to support us long term.
So what made you say like, oh, I'm willing to jump into this endeavor that's going to cost me? Like literally, because I mean, all of your profits at that point are going to go into this house.
Yeah, we got a couple of personal loans from the bank itself that we had been working with. We used that, or actually one was a line of credit. And we used that to do the rehab slowly over that 1.5 years for the middle unit. And then I actually took a second $10,000 line of credit. And when I went to the meeting with the private lender, I had planned on buying one of those High Point houses that were back then $4,000 and $5,000.
For sure.
And I was like, I'm just gonna buy one and I'm just gonna go in and learn however I can. I didn't have anybody to mentor me or anything like that. I just figured I'd figure it out as I go along.
I like it. I like it.
That was my plan.
No, that's how people get stuff done.
Yeah.
One of my problems that I have with teaching is that you don't know like the person that signs up for teaching.
True.
And literally like 70% of the people who sign up for teaching, they're missing that. They're missing that they're missing
no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
It's like they say I can't versus how can I.
The time you take to worry about the issues that come up in real estate in general, and the time that you worry about if I want to make this deal happen, is lost money.
Right.
You know, that's
Right.
all a waste of time. Go for it, do it, learn from it. If it's a mistake, you learn, you won't do it again.
Yeah.
If it's a profit, then you've got a success. you
For
know?
sure. So how do you get over the self-doubt? Because at every level, there's a level, especially on your first deal like this.
So my wife wasn't the most thrilled about being in this place, and her parents told me years later that they were freaking out when they came to the neighborhood. They knew that that's where we were going to be living.
And give everybody a vivid picture of what this neighborhood looks like.
So there were quite a few fights in the street. There were quite a few times, but the neighbor who owned the house from where the fight was originating would actually yell at the people to get away from our truck, which was parked in the street. They were like, "Get away from Mr. Kevin's truck," you know, and they literally moved the fight away. So we had respect in the neighborhood. We made friends with everybody, but the cops were out there quite often. But we lived in a cinder block house, so it was a little bit safer.
For
I
sure.
just had to stay away from the windows. I did hit the deck. I hit the deck a couple of times late nights, but I mean, it was part of it. You know, I mean, you can't be afraid of what's going to happen to actually get to your goals and your dreams.
Amen. No,
You know?
I totally agree with that. Otherwise, you'll never be living in your dream.
Right.
You know,
You'll just be living in what is.
Right. Exactly. Okay. I love this. So you meet this young man. Where do you meet him at?
The investor?
Uh-huh.
He was 55 at the time. I met him at the restaurant that I was working at, Mimi's Cafe.
Okay, so you met him, normal day, okay?
Just
normal day, just working.
Serving him breakfast.
You're serving breakfast. I freaking love this so far. Like, what are you saying to this guy so that way you know that, what happens?
Somehow, I ended up telling him, this was during the 9-month period that we were trying to buy the triplex.
Yeah.
And it was in August, and we finally closed in, I think, December of that year. And I told him about that process, about what we were trying to do. And later, he didn't tell me that day, but later he told me that the reason he wanted to invest with me was because we were able and willing to put our own skin in the game.
Yeah.
We were able and willing to take a risk and go out there and try something that we had little or no experience in.
Yeah.
And that was what he saw, is kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's the motivation, it's the drive of no matter what, I'm going to make this happen.
For sure.
And that's kind of what he was attracted to.
So what did he offer you as far as terms? He just said, "Yo, great, any deal you get, I'll fund," or
He
what?
said, "We have never ever had anything in writing, not one day." He said, "I do everything on a handshake." He said, "You give me the purchase price, you give me your rehab budget, and I will fund that." I had to actually ask him for extra money 3 times on my first house, which he was okay with because he saw the progress. First house took me 7 weeks to rehab. The second house only took me 2 weeks to rehab. And that's where my wife really saw what could happen, because we made a great chunk of money on the second house.
For sure.
That was where I had her full support.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and then the third house took me about 4 weeks or 3 weeks to rehab, and the fourth house took 4 weeks. So that's how I really, in that first year of doing those first 4 houses, I really learned the importance of time and money in the regards of rehab time.
Yeah.
And taking more days to do things and stuff that's unnecessary is just a waste of money.
For sure. All right, cool. So one of the hardest parts about this business is learning how to raise private money. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted you to explain what that was like, because most people don't know. Like, some people assume that they might have to fill out an application, or assume that they can go on Google and type in private money, and all of these random people are gonna pop up. But I try to explain, like, we're already passing people with money
every day
who are looking for opportunity every day.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you feel like, I don't have a lot of money and I need money to eat, there's somebody who has money, and has the abundance in their heart to say, well, I'm just looking for the right person that I can give it to do this.
Right.
Right. And so, but this is what I want you to answer for everyone is, why did he? Because if he's teaching you how to flip, because that was your first perspective.
He didn't teach anything though.
Yeah,
he didn't have very many pointers on the flipping side.
So why would this guy who has this money agree to shake your hand?
So he had been working with probably 3 to 4 other flippers for the past couple of years, I believe, and they had, in August of that year, he had already been a part of 20 deals. So he already knew what the returns could be with people that were actually motivated and were actually willing and able.
Yeah.
He actually had a separate deal in the beginning where he would charge 3% of the purchase price for what he made. And then he changed it later to 11% interest flat.
Yeah.
A lot of people have their money in the stock market, and 11% in the stock market is few and far between.
For sure.
So for somebody who has the capital available, they're not as willing when they see the stock market start to go down to continue to put it back in the stock market. So after about a year and a half of working together, he actually went almost fully liquid and sold most of his stocks to just invest in
golden nugget. When the stock market is down,
real estate goes up.
Real estate goes up.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I like this. Okay, so he agreed to 11% flat. Cool. All right. So at this point, when he says that to you, how do you start finding deals?
So the first deal was actually my agent who helped me find it. The second one was...
So what do? You just call the agent and say, hey, what do you got on the MLS? Did you got on the contract?
So at that point, he had been working with this agent through his other flippers in the area. So he told me in the beginning, he said, I would prefer you to work with her because I have experience with her. And she was one of the top producers of her area. She's been doing it for 10 years. So she actually helped me get that first deal. And the second deal was also from her, which another flipper had turned down, which he later said that he really regretted because that was one of our best ones and a 2-week rehab.
So was she bringing like off-market deals, or was she going direct to seller? Or?
No, they were actually MLS deals that were just needed work and just weren't selling. Because in 2016 at this time, the market was okay, but it wasn't anywhere near what it is now. So a house would sit on the market for a long time that needed work. And it was kind of not the beginning of wholesaling, but it was in where wholesaling just started to pick up. So there weren't as many wholesalers out there picking up all these off-market deals. They would just put them on the MLS with an agent and hope for it. And the third deal, I actually went to give them a price to, I was trying to keep my guys busy in the meantime. That was a whole nother story. They actually lived in my middle unit, ended up stealing tools, ended up, it was a horrible situation. But I was trying to find work for them, and I went to a house because these people were trying to fix separation in their wall from some structural issues. And I said, well, what are you doing this for? And they said, well, we want to list it and sell. And I was like, well, let me put in an offer. My third deal was directly with sellers. Fourth deal was marketplace, and majority of my deals I've found are
was that
Facebook
me?
Marketplace. No, you were Carlin Court, which was the end of 2017, I believe.
Yeah. Nice.
And that was, I believe I met you on Marketplace.
For sure. Yeah, we did. And I still can't believe you didn't buy that deal subject to, because I had locked it up subject to.
I had no idea what subject to was at that point.
Yeah, and when you said, you was like, oh no, I'll just pay cash for it. I was like, this dude just does not know.
So here's the easy, at that point I was like, my numbers, if I know what my purchase price is, I know pretty well what my rehab budget is, I know what I'm going to be spending on the back end on interest.
Yeah.
So to me, it was much simpler for me to go A plus B equals C instead of learning a whole new thing at that point.
At
that moment.
I agree, and I could tell that you knew what you wanted, though. You know what I mean? You had this formula in your head, because even after you walked it, you said, yep, I got it. It's mine. I'm serious about it. Let's do it.
I think you actually had somebody else under contract and called me back about it, didn't you? Somebody had to back out?
No, nobody backed out. What happened was, I think what was happening at the time was I wanted to buy it, but I couldn't raise the funds for it.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't, at that time I couldn't raise nobody wanted to take a second note on the subject too. Everybody wanted to just partner. And at that time I didn't see the value in partnerships.
Right.
Different now.
Yep. Same thing subject too. Yeah.
So I couldn't, so I didn't raise the money. So I just decided to, hey, let me put it up and wholesale it.
Yeah.
And but when you said no to the subject too, I was like, yo, because the payments was like $500.
Yeah.
The payments was $500, and I had got the bank to agree to settle what was behind. So they were behind $8,000, but I got the bank to settle for 1 month's payment. Right.
$7,500 off?
Yeah. 95%. Right. And so it was $500. It was $500 for entry, $500 a month. They owed $90,000.
Yeah.
And
I think
our
we
fee
closed
was
at 95.
And our fee was not at $5,000.
Yeah.
And so and I was like, yo, he just doesn't know. And but that was a good house. That was in the orchard. That was a really good house.
And my actual first buyer ended up backing out, and the neighbor who originally wanted it ended up getting it, which I was so happy for, because I had made friends with them, and I was so glad that they actually were able to end up with a house.
That's cool. That's cool, because they wanted it. They asked me about it when I had it on the contract. They just wanted it fixed up before they purchased it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great deal.
Such a good time. Thanks for running me through the that was a really good memory. I was running the business completely different than I am now.
Well, you learned.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. I was just kind of going back. So at that point, you're using the same lender for every deal?
Every single deal.
Okay, this is a mindset shift. Okay, this is a mindset shift because when I started getting into private money, I would always think that they were limited to the money that they had. Okay, and I would almost be nervous. Like if we had one deal, that we had already closed on, that we're working on and, about to get ready to list it, I assumed, this was just my, it's just my mindset. I assumed that I had to wait to pitch him another deal until that deal closed.
That was the case for the first year. Every single property I did, he was like, I want to get this one sold, at least under contract before you're even looking. So I was always looking in general. But I told him during those months, I said, one house at a time will not support a family.
For sure.
Because you've got 3 to 4, maybe 6 months before you've got a closing. And where's your money coming from in the middle? Right. So I told him that first year I really wanted to get into multiple flips at a time because that was the only way to happen. So I put in an offer on Hubzu in August or September for a house in Asheboro. Didn't get that one. Ended up getting another house in Asheboro, and then got a call about a month later that I was a backup bid for that other house, and it ended up going through. So all of a sudden I had 2 houses. They were less than 1.5 miles from each other.
For sure.
God worked that out. So that was the first time I did 2, and ever since then I've had 2 to 5 flips going on at a time.
Right, I love it.
That's the only way to really
sure.
make it. If you don't have any passive income in Airbnbs or short-term rentals or long-term rentals.
For sure, but it's way better to have some rental income.
Well, see, that's what I learned. I over the first year and a half, I realized that our business had no actual value except for my experience.
Right.
It's not like I could sell our business someday with me being the one heading everything up.
For sure.
So that's when I started thinking, well, we do need to get something that we can hold on to some properties and have as rentals so that we actually have legitimate value in our company. And that was when we bought our first Airbnb in 2018 in Wilmington.
So, okay, I like it. So you bought it in Wilmington, not here?
No, so after my first year and a half being here, it was one of the meetings, and what you were talking about earlier, how people, kind of have the money and want to hear. A lot of our meetings that we'll have out in public, we'll have people come up to us and be like, hey, I heard you were talking about real estate. Can I get your number? And that's the kind of how you end up with the other private lenders. But I had a meeting with him one night and I said, look, I feel like this area is good. I was like, but I want to branch out and I want to have multiple opportunities to have flips because there's only so much in one area at a time.
Yeah.
And if you can't find the right one, you might be sitting for a month or two. So God was like, all right, well, here's Wilmington. I've never had anything to do with Wilmington, never cared about Wilmington. Started looking on Facebook Marketplace and I met my agent who I've been working with ever since on his first deal. I bought his second deal from him and he's been a top producer for the past 5 years now.
Nice.
He's got 22 Airbnbs now and he started Ubering when he got his real estate license for 2 years almost. Wow. That's how he got all of his clients. He gave every single person in there a card and that's how he was successful.
That's what's up. Marketing is key, ain't it?
and it's free. He's making money while he's marketing. Ubering people around. But yeah, somehow I got into Wilmington and I just found crews and different subs down there. And
let's talk about the financing on this one, because this one is different. Yes. The first one was, buy, I know how much it's going to cost to rehab. Cool. My private money guy's giving me the money. I'm going to pay him some interest, and then boom, I sell it. I get my money back, right? I get some profit. Mm-hmm. Now, but this one you're going to keep as an Airbnb. So how are we gonna make money? How are we gonna number one, pay him back? Yeah. Okay, and then how are you gonna make money?
So I had 2 deals already in Wilmington going on, and the first deal that I ever fully finished and flipped, I had actually met a woman who co-hosted on Airbnb, and that was through my agent, and she actually had somebody who needed the place for a month.
Yeah.
So it was going to be like $2,500 for the month, and we were like, we can't turn down that good of a deal. So we took some old furniture from home and got some, kitchen appliances and not main appliances, but living stuff, decor, furnishings.
Yeah.
Went down there, and what we usually do for our Airbnbs, me and my wife will go and we'll just blow up a mattress the first night and get everything set up as we kind of stay there.
Yeah.
That went through, made the money off of that, and he kind of saw that there was a little bit of a future in that.
Yeah.
So because of that 1 month deal, and
your private money guy?
Private money, yeah.
Interesting.
And so also because we were linked up with this woman who was a co-host, he understood that I did have somebody else in the corner who knew more about about it than I did.
Yeah.
That was actually going to be helping. And the house that we ended up getting was $95,000 fully renovated.
Oh, okay.
Which 2-bedroom, 1-bath, fully renovated, new roof, new HVAC, new plumbing, I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
So he understood that, and I told him that it was probably going to be a little bit longer of a deal. So we got it. We put in old furniture, which we learned you don't do. We put in stuff that people would notice what was had little tears. We put covers on it. People didn't like that, so we learned a lot from that first property. And then after about 11 months, ended up selling it to buy our triplex in Wilmington, which was just a overall, it was built in 1904, so everything was wrong in it. But it was zoned mixed use. At that moment, Wilmington had already set up their standards for Airbnbs and was charging $300 for the other unit that we had that year.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find something that was zoned mixed use or commercial in general, so that because they can't touch you in that.
For sure. Okay. You move so fast.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. But this is all like great stuff. This is like amazing. I love hearing the story.
I told you I could talk about it for hours.
This is straight awesome. This is what a lot of people miss. You know what I mean?
It's the details.
It's the details. It's the details. Because like most people think that it's so easy, because they see a 15, 30 minute video, an hour video, but they miss the actual journey. Mm-hmm. And so I'm gonna try to slow you down just a little bit.
Please do.
Okay, so you're gonna buy this property that's totally unlike any of the other ones, because this one is already
with 3 renters in it.
Right. It's already fixed up.
Oh, that one. Yes, sir. Yes.
This one is already fixed up, okay? Because the other ones were buy, fix up, resell.
Rehab. Yeah.
This one's already fixed up, and you're not going to resell. You're planning on holding it.
Right.
So how do you structure that with your private money guy?
So I told him we were still paying the same 11% on the house, and I told him that it was either going to be something that we would refinance down the road and keep, or end up being something that we would sell.
Yeah.
So he would ask me every now and then what if I figured out what I wanted to do with it. And once we found out that it was a bad neighborhood, and a lot of people complained about that and got bad reviews.
Yeah. So
our reviews were around probably 4.3, 4.4, which isn't that great on Airbnb.
For sure.
We realized that we really just needed to get into a better location and have more opportunities to have an income. And that's why when the triplex came up, I love triplexes.
Yeah.
So when that came up, I kind of couldn't pass that deal up.
For sure. So he gave you 12 months still on that one, or?
We never actually had a term agreed upon.
Amen.
He's flexible, because once at this point he saw where I was going, and he had actually stopped working with most of his other flippers.
Golden nugget. Yep, golden nugget. And that sounds like we're about to get into another one. Golden nugget, I like private money because it's flexible. Exactly. It's a conversation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then there's
based on trust.
It's based on trust. It's based on reasoning,
And experience.
So I prefer private money. Okay, now you said that he has stopped working with other guys. Okay?
Yeah,
now,
he only had one other one at that point.
Okay, and why did he stop working with other guys and still continue to work with you?
So the other guys had a house that sat on the market for about 2 years.
Okay.
And they asked him to reduce his interest for that time period.
Okay, selfish. All right.
Yeah. And then they had one more deal that they wanted to do, and they were going to help pay him back majority of that, what they owed him.
Yeah.
It was a father and son, and they just didn't. Nothing worked with him. Right. And he was seeing that it was kind of starting to self-implode. Plus the guy, every time he would sell something, he would go buy Harleys, cars, go to Vegas.
Yeah.
And he would not be smart with his money.
For sure. I'm so glad you're open to saying that, because I think people, they forget the gift that we just got. Right. You know what I mean? Like the guy was willing to trust you, right? Lend you 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, lend you 100% of the deal. Handshake. Right, on a handshake. And so you're walking away with money so you can pay for your rehab.
Right.
But yet, when you have to make $0 or when you have to lose some, it's not a back and forth. With relationships, it has to be a back and forth. Mm-hmm. One day you're gonna win. I shouldn't be jealous of your win.
Happy for them.
Happy for them. Right. One day I'm gonna win.
Yeah, I can't stand it when people are like, "Oh man, must be nice." It's like, no, it's good for them.
It is.
Be happy for others when they succeed.
For sure.
Their success can overflow into your success, or you can learn from them.
For sure. It will. Bottom line, when you're grateful for other people's success, it will overflow to you in some form or fashion. So whether that's, whether you actually get a piece of that money, like that's what an assignment is, in my opinion, that's what a partnership is, or whether you actually learn, or get a contact, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of my guys. And I tell them that first, like, hey, because things don't go as planned.
They never do.
So when it goes wrong, I'm gonna be willing to talk. I just need you to be willing to talk, and I just need us to come up with an agreement. Yeah. Period. And honestly, in the last 7 years, we've always been able to come up with something. Right. And that's why I started getting into partnerships, because it makes it easier for you to come up with something. Exactly. Even one time we had to swap houses. It's like we own 50-50 over here, 50-50 here, and it was just like, hey man, you take that one, I take this one. Cool. Yep. All right, let's talk into some Airbnb stuff, okay? Because you learned a lot from your first one. Mm-hmm. Not to have old furniture. That's right. I think Are you going only for new stuff, or are you still going on Facebook Marketplace and looking for really good stuff?
Like really good stuff, dining room tables, end tables, things like that. I've actually made a few tables. I'm actually going to make the dining room table for our next one. And I started realizing what I was buying, I could just build for sure for cheaper. But a lot of our stuff was 0% with Best Buy for TVs and electronics. And 0% at Rooms to Go.
Nice.
And that puts it over 5 years and not paying any interest. So that was kind of how we used to furnish our places.
Nice. Okay, I like it. Now, on average, I get this question a lot. How much are you, or are you buying? Because most of mine are 1 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you know, because the one that we co-host on is a 3 bedroom. But most of mine are 1s. How much does it cost you to furnish, an apartment or house?
The average is probably about 15. Okay. The one in our one in Pendulum Forge sleeps 12, and it's a 3 bedroom. It's about 2,500 square feet. That was about 35. But that included a brand new hot tub, which was close to 10 grand.
For sure.
So
that's a way bigger house.
It's a way bigger house.
That's a way bigger house. Yeah. Like, are most of yours big like that, or?
No. We have 2 in Topsail. It's a 1 bedroom, 2 bath, but it has bunk beds, and we have a sleeper chair and a sleeper sofa, so it sleeps 7.
Nice.
And it's like 700 square feet. We have 2 of those.
And how much did it cost to furnish that one?
So that one it was 15. Okay. We put into that one.
Nice.
Everything brand new. We actually the only thing renovation we did was paint the cabinets and put in hardware. But the average is about 15. Our one in Carolina Beach is just a 1 bedroom that sleeps 4 with a sleeper couch. We have a boat Airbnb in Beaufort that's a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, so it sleeps 4. We were going to let 6 people be in because it has a sleeper couch. It's just too tight at quarters.
For sure.
But the majority is about average about 15,000.
I like
that's to do it right. That's to not do it halfway.
For sure.
You can't. With all of the competition in Airbnb, you can't be halfway.
No, between the competition, between the reviews, between how much you can charge.
And your cleaners.
And your cleaners.
And how well they clean.
For sure. Well, I definitely agree with you on that.
But the cleaners are definitely an important part, and having them being willing and able to go above and beyond when things are needed to be taken to the property. Yeah. That's how, we manage all of our properties. We only have now 4 in Greensboro, but that's just from this year starting. All the rest of ours have always been out of town. We've never been there on site to be able to do stuff.
Which I still don't understand how you do.
It's just the people that you meet in the area. All the people I've met from cruise are a lot of people because they like working with me and I love working with them. If I need something, hey man, can you get there? How fast can you get there? I just go down my Rolodex, see who can get there, and whatever they charge, I pay them, and they're happy.
For sure. Well, that's a key too. Whatever they charge, you pay them.
Yep.
Amen to that.
Make them happy.
Amen. Yep. Yeah, because it's definitely a level of that. I think a lot of stuff that I do for my team, especially when we're slow, it's just like, let me find this to do because it's important to pay them.
Yeah, keep them having food on the table.
It's a consistent reward, and people like that. Every time I pay Miss Arita, is a smile.
Yep.
A smile, and in between Monday and Thursday, hey, we got to deal with it, but Friday, we're smiling.
That's good. And then you'll get people who will go and do something simple, like I had a faucet that needed to be replaced, and one of my guys went out and did it, and I was like, hey, how much do I owe you? And he was like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He was like,
nice.
It was less than an hour.
And that happens too.
He was like, it is what it is. It's just, I appreciate you. And I was like, man, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, it comes and goes.
It does.
It's really good between us. So
now, what's important right now with all the competition that's out, right? With definitely some of the cities liking and disliking, quote unquote Airbnb, what are some things that's like important that people should be doing with their short-term rental units?
They want to be making the Airbnb as attractive as possible with their decor and their furnishings. I see a lot of people just put their old house up and they leave all of their stuff there. They'll take their personal belongings out, but they'll leave everything that they've already put up for years. And it looks like an early 2000s home or a 1990s home.
Right.
That's not going to get the attention of a buyer or a guest. My goal is to make the house feel, and we do all of our own, my wife does all the interior design of everything of what we do, and we want to make the house feel like a home away from home.
Yeah.
We want them to feel like when they get there, they get a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
We want them to get that from the pictures, which is why professional photography is very important.
For sure.
We've gone through a couple of different photographers on one house before because we didn't like the first pictures.
Nice. Nice.
Because it's just something that's very important because that's what they visually see first, and that's what makes them click on the ad.
Right.
The next thing is making sure that you are overly attentive to their needs. You have your automated messages set up, but you are making sure that when they do message you, you're within 5 to 10 minutes of response to them.
Yeah.
Because you want them to feel like they are the most important thing in your life at that moment.
Yeah.
And when they do, they appreciate that. Then you have guests who don't ever say a word, which is fine.
For sure.
As long as they don't complain in the end and you say, well, you didn't give me a chance to fix this.
For sure.
They have issues like that. But making sure that your place is set up and you have everything that they are going to need and more. Then when they step away from home, they're not going to be looking for that extra big pot. They're going to have it there.
Well, for sure. Now, have you seen like a better way to make more or less money in your strategy on Airbnb?
So that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I do something that not a lot of people do, and I've been doing this since 2019. It's easier to do in a market that is a vacation destination, and it's easier to do in a market that has a lot less available Airbnbs.
For sure.
So what I do is I have everything blocked off in the hot season up until about a week and a half before. So I wait until there's nothing available.
Yeah.
And then I jack my prices up.
For sure.
And I list it.
For sure.
So what you're getting are the people that have the available funds.
For sure.
And they're just like, you know what? We
Last
gotta
minute.
go.
Right.
We gotta get there. I don't care what it costs. And when you're offering a great product, they don't mind paying those prices.
For sure.
So that's what I've been doing since 2018, and it works great in the hot season. In the off season, not at all, because there's a ton of places available.
List, just for everybody in the audience to understand what you're saying, list a location and then list a time frame that would work in.
So Wilmington, Carolina Beach, North Topsail, Beaufort. Okay. All from beginning of June till mid to late September. I will, like for instance, Carolina Beach just sleeps forward. It's about a minute and a half walk to the beach. On a weekend, most places are going from $200 to $300 a night, maybe $350, $400. I will ask $600 to $700 a night. Yeah. And I will get people in there for 2 nights that are paying, $1,200.
For sure.
And to them, they got that vacation that they were loving, they were wanting for so long, and they just hadn't had a chance to book anything. They're procrastinators, but they had the money to spend. And when you are only one available or one of 3 or 4 available,
for sure,
the closer it gets, and I don't know how many last minute bookings we get. We get majority last minute bookings. Yeah. And people are just on a Friday like, you know what, we're gonna go, we're gonna do it no matter what. We do that in our snowshoe properties as well for our winter properties.
Nice.
One of the I guess the second, third Airbnbs we bought were in snowshoe because we realized the off season was gonna be winter. And we wanted to have something to offset that revenue from Wilmington, Carolina Beach, North Topsail.
Agreed. This winter sucked.
Yeah.
This winter sucked. And it did get me thinking like, I need to have, if I'm going to have so many, because right now we have 7, and I really want to get to 10 because I found a hedge fund company that's willing to buy, short-term rental businesses if it has 10 locations.
So you would just sell all of them?
Yeah. So don't sell the properties. You sell your business. Right. And which is like a double whammy. So my goal is to get to 10. By the end of the year. Yeah. So that way I can.
You'll have no problem.
Yeah, it's working, man. But sheesh, what did I Jacob Mullins. Yep. I hadn't heard anybody use that strategy but him and you. Really? Yeah. You guys are the only 2 that I heard of mention that. And that's because, he's down in Myrtle Beach.
It's risky.
Of course. Yeah.
It definitely is. And most people I tell that to will not agree with me. They'll be like, oh, I just set my prices and then I'm happy to get the bookings. And I'm like, yeah, but if you want to make more and you want to actually really concentrate those hot seasons. The hot season is the only time you're going to make profit.
For sure.
So you've got to make all you can during those times.
Oh, for sure.
And you're literally creating a demand when you're holding it off.
Oh yeah, that's 70-80% of your income is during the hot season.
Exactly.
And so like this winter was crazy. This winter, and I wasn't thinking like this because I had maybe 4 go live at the end of the summer. So I wasn't thinking, slow season.
Yeah.
But I felt it.
Yeah.
I definitely felt it.
My agent in Wilmington actually had that conversation with me a few weeks ago. He was like, this past winter was the first time that I had to actually pay attention to my bank account.
For sure.
And I was like, I know what you mean, because we've had that for the past 3 years in the off season. Yeah. This past year, I've actually midtermed 7 of my properties for 6 months in the off season. Which helped. A couple of them were actually profitable. The other ones broke even. One of them lost a little bit, but the amount of money that we brought in last year during that same time is astronomically different, because we were only doing a couple $300 per unit in January and February last year, and now we're getting guaranteed rental income.
For sure.
So that's definitely my strategy for the off season.
Let's talk about all the different ways you're making money, because it sounds like from our conversation here and just from our personal relationship, you got different ways of making money with Airbnb. So if you can just tell us, we got a kind of a clue about your properties, but like it sounds like some of them you're in control of, some of them you're not in control of. Like how does that work out?
We run all of ours now. In the very beginning, we did use a co-host because we recognized that we didn't understand the full details of actually hosting.
And for the example, explain what a co-host is.
So a co-host is somebody who actually hosts your property that you own. They manage it, they answer all the inquiries, they answer all the questions, they set up all the check-in messages, check-out messages. If there's any issues going on at the unit during a guest stay, they deal with all of that. And the only thing you're responsible for are utilities and claims.
Right.
Which we will, co-hosts do set up the claims, but you have to sign off on it as the owner through Airbnb, because it's still linked to your account.
Right.
So when Airbnb pays, the money goes into the owner's account, and then they bill you at the end of the year. This co-host was charging me 20%. And I asked her in the beginning, I said, well, how do I get down to 15%? How many properties do I have to have? And she said 7. I said, okay. So within a year and a half, I had 9, and I called her up and I was like, hey, got 9 now. How about that 15%? She was like, I can't do it now. She was like, 'cause she had like 40 properties she was managing. She was like, some of them I'm charging 40% for. And I'm like, okay, well, we had a deal.
For sure.
So found another co-host for about 6 months who did 14% for all of our properties. And then we realized, why are we even having a co-host?
Right.
We are always glued to our phones anyway.
For sure.
So then we started hosting ourselves. And then this past year, we started co-hosting for others, which you know.
Yep.
And that we charge 20% of that, thank you.
Yeah.
And we actually are now cleaning 4 of our properties in Greensboro, my wife and I. That's the max we can do because we're only 2 people.
For sure.
But cleaning, co-hosting, and then also when we charge our cleaning fees, in the beginning I didn't agree with this because I kind of thought it was wrong, but we actually overcharge our cleaning fee what our cleaners are charging us.
For sure.
That's to help pay for toiletries, things like that are used on a daily basis.
For sure. We typically have like a linen fee, like a tax.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do like a $50 linen fee per booking. And if somebody nobody complains about a linen fee.
Yeah.
Do you want fresh?
Clean?
Yeah, they want clean linen.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, great, I'm getting because there is like a recycle. You know what I mean? There is like, we got these linens. They last for a quarter.
Yep.
And then we get new linen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's like a real thing that people want. So we charge a linen fee too.
My wife's done 38 loads of laundry this month at the house. And thank the Lord we're on a well. So.
Yeah, right. Nice. That's what's up. Shout out to the wells. Yeah, I've only had one bad experience with the well. Yeah, only one. And it was probably my fault. I've never had a problem with a well. At least 30 houses with the well that I've purchased, but I never look at the well. I just always assume, oh, it's a well, great, it works, it's pumping water out. Turns out this one was sealed off because of contamination.
Oh man.
And I didn't know that.
So you had to have a whole new one drilled?
Yes.
Golly, I'm sorry.
I know.
That was a big hit on the pocket.
I know, and it's actually something that I've been delaying because I haven't even done it yet. I haven't drilled it. Mm-hmm. I finished the project last year, put it up on the market, right? And so that's when I found out that it was sealed, right? Is when I already had it on the market. So, and I had a high pressure private money guy at the time So I ended up refinancing it with one of my other guys. And so it's a property that I'm holding now until the end of the year, and I'm gonna add a well to it.
Yeah.
But man, that sucks.
Yeah.
It does. That was my first bad experience.
Yep.
First bad experience. I've never had a. Let me not say never. I haven't had one yet.
One yet, yeah. I mean, having them pumped and having them inspected and having to replace the T-valves and stuff like that.
For sure.
They go wrong. That's definitely an important thing. I haven't yet either, but I'm sure it's coming.
That's for sure. So you can host your own short terms, right? And I heard you use the word arbitrage. Okay.
Right.
So I guess you can own your own house, set up the furniture, boom, that's yours, you're the host. Okay. You can own your own house and then have somebody come in and help you manage it. They can co-host, they can do most of the ongoing tasks for you, and you kind of play background. So you can make money from co-hosting, and then you can arbitrage. So I guess you can not own it and own it. Help us understand what arbitrage is.
So for the new construction build that I did last year, it was the worst time in the world to build. So I was under big time in it.
For sure.
So I have 3 mortgages on that house, and we were really kind of trying to figure out how we were going to make money because we didn't have the money to furnish it at the moment.
Yeah.
So I put it up online for rental as well as arbitrage, and I had a couple of people, about 3 people, ask me about it. But one who actually came in and signed a 6-month lease with us.
Nice.
So she's paying $2,500 a month.
Nice.
And we are hosted. The deal was that we would host it, so we're making 20% of her overall, and then we're actually cleaning it.
Nice.
So we're having 3 incomes on that one property to help that $5,200 a month we're spending on this ridiculous house.
Amen.
So what's good is in the bad months when she's not making money, we're still at least making $2,500 plus some cleanings.
For sure.
But what she's trying to figure out is if she wants to stay in or not, because she's had a couple months that weren't profitable, but now that we're getting into April and June, she's starting to realize that it's going to be profitable.
For sure.
And so today she actually emailed and asked if she could sign on for another 3-month lease, and we said no, we're not going to let you sign on for the hottest months of the year.
For sure.
And then leave us hanging in September. So it's a long-term game. It's a 1 to 2 year game for you to make profits over that time, and you can't just base it off of profits from specific months.
It is smart of you to actually say that. Because at this point, I mean, 6 months, that should be proof of concept. She needs to sign for a year.
Exactly. And the problem is the first month she was still furnishing, so she didn't even get any bookings for the first month and a half.
Right.
So and we furnished ours within a week.
Yeah.
So we've tried to offer her help, but of course, you know how people are.
For sure.
They don't want help from professionals.
Right. Asking for help is hard for most people.
It is. It is.
I love it. So we got the arbitrage. Is there any other way that we can make money with short-term rentals? I want to make sure I got them all. You can host with your own property. You can co-host with somebody else. Then you can also arbitrage. Is there another way?
Well, you can clean some of your own units.
And you can also clean. Amen.
Yeah, because cleaning is a huge part.
It is. No, it is. No, literally, I mean, the last 3 weeks have been like $1,000 a week for cleaning.
Yep.
For me. So, I mean, that's definitely a way.
And they can, then as for all the times that we've had issues with our cleaners, we know that if we're cleaning the property, we know it's going to be clean.
For sure.
We know that we're going to make sure that every little detail is looked at, and we know the house, which the cleaners that we work with, over time they learn the house and they can tell when something's out of place and stuff like that. So that's very important when you don't live on site and you can't view your property every couple of weeks.
For sure.
So you have somebody who actually is able to tell you when something's wrong. That's important.
Give me before we wrap this up. Give me 3 things that that if someone wanted to get in to short-term rentals, like 3 things that someone could do now to launch their first unit in the next, let's call it 6 months.
So the very first and easiest thing to do would be to rent out 1 room in your own home.
Yeah.
Because if it's a place that you either rent or you own, it's easier, of course, if you own. If you rent, you need to get a permission from your landlord.
For sure.
But that is the quickest and easiest way to get in and learn how to actually be an Airbnb.
For sure. And it's pretty much like no extra risk because, you're already there.
And most likely you're using the stuff that you have in there already. If it's a bedroom, you've already got a bed in there. The only issue with that is if you have no experience with the Airbnb platform, then filing claims and talking with Airbnb. Sometimes you have to call multiple times until you get somebody
For sure.
who sides with you and says, yeah, like if you want a review taken down.
For sure.
You know, people leave bad reviews for something that has nothing to do with the house.
For sure.
And you can tell Airbnb this is not a reflection of the house. So, or if they use foul language, gone. You know, little stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Or if they're calling you names.
Miss Brianna. Sorry. Literally, it's fresh. It's fresh.
Oh, we had a Rihanna lately too, so.
Man, this lady's tripping, bro. She said that the house smelled like marijuana, and did we have a guest that just checked out that smoked and he wasn't supposed to smoke? For sure.
Probably,
okay.
yeah.
But we shampooed the carpets. I had Miss Sarita wipe down the walls. Open all the windows. We put coffee out there, you know. And she said that it smelled like marijuana and it was dirty. And now I'm on the way to Ohio. Okay, so I'm driving. It's 10 o'clock at night. Okay. So Miss Arita, she has access to, you know, to our logins and stuff. So she sees the messages at 10 o'clock at night. Without me asking, with no hesitation, she goes out there to the property.
Good for her.
Right. Ain't that amazing?
Awesome.
Yeah, she goes out there to the property. She gets there, takes pictures, puts it into the Airbnb app, sends it via message, right? And says, hey, look, there's honestly nothing wrong. You know, can I bring some fragrance spray? For sure, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
And so I told the lady, I said, hey, look, no problem. You know, call Airbnb. I'll give you a refund. No problem. You know, but you got to pay for the cleaning fee because the lady was willing to come out here at night.
At 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and make sure you're straight. She gave a hissy fit. And when I say hissy fit, she's all kinds of words. Okay. And so the next day I called Airbnb and I said, hey, look, do I have to give her a refund? And they said, well, no, it's in your policy that you don't have to give her a refund. And besides, she's mentioned these words in the messages. So no, you don't have to give a refund. Bye, Brianna.
Done. And they used to make it to where if a guest canceled, they weren't able to leave a review. Now they let you.
She definitely left a bad review.
Yeah,
she definitely left a bad review. But they did say that they would take it down.
That's good.
Because of the things that she said in the text.
Do you have a 5-day cancellation policy?
So it's 7 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 7 days. So anytime within 7 days of the booking, they can cancel and they get their full refund back.
You mean before 7 days before the booking?
Yeah, 7 days before.
Yeah.
7 days before, and then if it's within 7 days, it's like a partial. I do a partial, and if it's the same day, and some people don't agree with that, but if it's the same day, then it's no refund if it's same day booking.
The only way that we do refund fully is if we rebook.
Okay.
That's our kind of our thing that we've always kind of used. It's not on Airbnbs, but it's kind of our thing. We do a 5-day, and it's like, look, you know, you're within this 5 days. We will refund you if we rebook the property for those nights.
For sure.
If not, we're sorry, but
that's
you're
fair.
within our
like
cancellation
that.
policy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's super fair. I like that.
And we've actually had quite a few times where we have done that because things do book up pretty quickly.
Yeah, well,
sometimes.
In the
hot
travel season,
it's great.
I'm back to back.
Yeah.
Like last weekend, the weekend before, I mean, all of them booked. Just massive cleanings, crazy.
Back to your question, the second thing they could do is to find a friend or family member who owns a rental property already.
For sure.
Now, this might take some upfront capital if the person that owns the property is not willing to furnish the property.
For sure.
So you could set the deal up to where you say, I'm going to furnish it, I'm going to do the decor, I'm going to provide all of the living utensils that they need, and here's the amount of money, it's arbitrage in a way, that I'll be paying you per month. Or they can structure the deal as they're going to co-host.
Right.
And the owner will make 80% of the nightly rate and they'll make 20%.
For sure.
Meanwhile, they're learning how things work and they're going through it and kind of feeling out different guests and stuff like that. The third way is to just dive in both feet first.
For sure.
Buy a property that you plan on being an investment property. And just go in with, all guns
faith.
blazing.
Yeah, all faith.
All faith in the Lord. Yeah.
That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
Hey, well, look, bro, we really appreciate you coming in today. And I actually got a checklist from him, okay? So I'm going to leave it down in the link below. If you want to get started in real estate investing in the short-term rental capacity and you need a cleaning checklist, this is what I got from Kevin. I'm going to drop it down below and also tell everybody how they can reach you just in case they want to co-host, just in case they might want to pick your brain and pay you for a consultation call. Let them know how you can reach.
On Facebook, Kevin Smithy. We actually have our company is One Step Properties LLC on Facebook as well. We have a I believe we have an Instagram page. It's probably not very active, but I'll be honest, we're not the greatest at social media.
For sure.
My wife takes care of all the accounting and all of the background. She's the other half of answering Airbnb messages and stuff like that.
And what's your email?
My email is onesteppropertiesllc@gmail.com.
That's what's up. And remember, you don't need all 3 to do a deal. You just need 2 to do you. Peace out. Right.